500 years ago, a disgraced diplomat named Niccolo Machiavelli sat in a small study in the Italian countryside and wrote a manual on power that was so honest, so brutal, and so devoid of comforting illusions that it was banned by the church and reviled by the public. But while the world thought he was writing about how to rule a kingdom, he was actually documenting the fundamental operating system of human nature. If you strip away the velvet robes of the Renaissance princes and the text messages of the modern dating world, you find the exact same creature staring back at you. Today, we are going to look at the feminine nature through the cold, unblinking eyes of Machiavelli. Because the dynamics that toppled empires in 1513 are the exact same dynamics that are toppling your relationships today. You must start by accepting Machiavelli's darkest and most necessary premise, that people are ungrateful, fickle, pretenders, dissemblers, and runaways from danger. He warned the prince that as long as you succeed, the people are yours entirely. They will offer you their blood, their property, their lives, and their children when the need is far distant. But when the need approaches, they revolt. Look at your own romantic history. How many times have you heard a woman promise you forever? How many times did she swear that you were her soulmate, that she would ride or die with you? She meant it in that moment, just as the subjects meant it when they cheered the prince. But Machiavelli knew that words are wind. The moment your success faltered, the moment you lost your job, your confidence, or your status, the rebellion began. It wasn't personal, it was political. In the realm of mating, a woman acts like a populace looking for a strong ruler. If the ruler becomes weak, the populace does not help him. They look for a new banner to stand under. This brings us to the most famous and misunderstood concept in all of Machiavellian thought. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. In the modern context, we must translate fear not as terror, but as respect for consequences. Machiavelli observed that love is held together by a chain of obligation which, because men are wretched, is broken at every opportunity for their own self-interest. But fear is held together by a dread of punishment that never abandons you. Apply this to the woman you desire. If she loves you, that is beautiful, but it is fragile. Love fluctuates with her mood, her hormones, and her circumstances. But if she respects you, if she fears the loss of you, if she knows that crossing a boundary results in your immediate withdrawal, that bond is unbreakable. The mistake you make, the mistake of the nice guy, is relying entirely on love. You try to buy her loyalty with favors, with constant availability, with goodness. Machiavelli would laugh at you. He wrote, "A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good." When you are always nice, always forgiving, and always accommodating, you are teaching her that there is no penalty for bad behavior. You are a prince who refuses to enforce the law. And a prince who does not enforce the law is not loved for his mercy. He is despised for his weakness. She might tell you she wants a nice guy, just as the mob tells the prince they want a lenient tax collector, but deep down, she craves the structure that only authority can provide. She feels safe only when she knows you are capable of walking away. That is the dread of punishment that keeps the relationship stable. Consider the Machiavellian concept of fortuna. He described fortune as a violent river that, when it becomes enraged, floods the plains, tears down trees and buildings, and washes away the earth. He famously compared fortune to a woman, stating that to master her, she must be conquered by a strong hand. Now, strip away the 16th century misogyny and look at the psychological insight. He is describing the chaotic, emotional, shifting nature of the feminine reality. It is a river. If you build your house on the riverbank without dikes, without dams, without floodgates, you will be washed away when the season changes. You cannot argue with the river. You cannot reason with the flood. You can only build the structures of your own life, your purpose, your discipline, your social value, so strong that the river is forced to flow around you. The weak man tries to swim in the river and drowns. the Machiavellian man builds a fortress that the river cannot move. Consider the Machiavellian concept of fortuna. He described fortune as a violent river that, when it becomes enraged, floods the plains, tears down trees and buildings, and washes away the earth. He famously compared fortune to a woman, stating that to master her, she must be conquered by a strong hand. Now, strip away the 16th century misogyny and look at the psychological insight. He is describing the chaotic, emotional, shifting nature of the feminine reality. It is a river. If you build your house on the riverbank without dikes, without dams, without floodgates, you will be washed away when the season changes. You cannot argue with the river. You cannot reason with the flood. You can only build the structures of your own life, your purpose, your discipline, your social value, so strong that the river is forced to flow around you. The weak man tries to swim in the river and drowns. The Machiavellian man builds a fortress that the river cannot move. You must also learn to play both the lion and the fox. Machiavelli wrote that the lion cannot defend himself against snares and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. Therefore, you have to be a fox to discover the snares and a lion to terrify the wolves. In your relationships, you have been too much of the lion or too much of the fox, but rarely both. The lion is your brute force, your directness, your ability to say no. But if you are only a lion, you will be outmaneuvered. You need the fox. You need the cunning to understand her covert communications, the social intelligence to see the shit tests before they trap you, and the savvy to navigate the complex social hierarchy she lives in. When she tests you, when she plays games with your jealousy, when she tries to manipulate your emotions, that is a snare. If you roar and get angry like a lion, you step right into the trap. You look insecure, but the fox sees the snare. The fox smiles. The fox uses humor, deflection, and agree and amplify to bypass the trap, keeping his power intact. Conversely, when she openly disrespects you, when she crosses a hard line, the fox is useless. You must become the lion. You must show the teeth of your self-respect. It is the seamless switching between these two avatars that makes a man undeniably attractive. It creates that mystery and danger that keeps the populace and the woman on their toes. Let's talk about the economy of attention. Machiavelli advised the prince to keep his subjects in a state of suspense, to never let them fully predict his next move. He understood that familiarity breeds contempt. In your modern love life, you violate this law daily. You become an open book. You text her every hour. You tell her your deepest insecurities before she has earned them. You make yourself common. And, as Machiavelli noted, that which is common is rarely valued. The prince who is seen every day at the tavern is not respected. The prince who appears only when necessary, whose words are few and deliberate, captures the imagination. You must cultivate a strategic distance. This is not about playing games. It is about maintaining the aura of sovereignty. When you are always available, you are a servant. When you are available only when it suits your purpose, you are a ruler. She needs to wonder what you are doing. She needs to realize that your life exists outside of her gaze. That uncertainty creates the vacuum that her desire rushes in to fill. Furthermore, Machiavelli warned against relying on mercenary forces. He said that mercenaries are disunited, ambitious, and without discipline, unfaithful, brave before friends, cowardly before enemies. If you rely on them to hold your state, you will never be secure. In relationship terms, mercenaries are the external validators you use to prop up your self-esteem. If your confidence depends on her compliments, if your happiness relies on her mood, if your sense of worth is tied to her loyalty, you are defending your kingdom with mercenaries. You are renting your confidence from her. And just like mercenaries, the moment the battle gets hard, she will take that confidence away and leave you naked on the battlefield. You must possess native troops, your own internal validation, your own mission, your own code of honor that does not fluctuate based on her opinion. A woman cannot respect a man whose self-image she holds the keys to. She wants a man who defends his own borders with his own army. Machiavelli was hated because he said the quiet part out loud. He admitted that the world is not a nursery. It is a contest. Female nature, like all human nature, is opportunistic, hypergamous, and responsive to power. You can hate this reality, you can cry about it, you can write poetry about how it should be, and you will lose. Or you can pick up the manual. You can accept that the prince who understands the nature of his subjects rules for a lifetime, while the prince who expects them to be angels is deposed within the year. The throne of your life is empty. Stop waiting for her to sit in it. Sit in it yourself, rule with wisdom and strength, and watch how quickly the rebellion turns into devotion.